What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Batch 4 7-Star Awakening review. As always, we're going to be talking about the 7-Star kit primarily with these units, and if they do have a new ability or a new passive that buffs a previous 6-star Bax ability or such forth like that, we'll talk about it then, but we're going to cover primarily the 7-Star stuff and the global exclusive changes and stuff like that for you guys, so we're not here forever in a day. So let's get right into it for you guys. We're talking about Pyroglacial Lastwell first. Got some needed love, I do believe, over here in the global side. Now, Zantetsuken, the Zantetsuken FFBE gives a one-handed katana, 174 attack with the effect of Resolute Vow, and Resolute Vow is going to give you 50% limit burst gauge fill rate and 10% Esper bonus stats. It's going to give you 10% more stats from your Esper that you have equipped. So pretty decent there. One-handed katana, it's all right. Very good for Pyroglacial Lastwell because he can be a dual-wielding unit. Super awesome there. Let's move on down to his 7-star kit real quick for you guys, starting with Winter's Oblivion. Physical damage, 5.2 times multiplier. You can decrease ice and wind resistance by 60% for 3 turns to one enemy. Chaining Family's Divine Ruination. This will go pretty well with Summer Lastwell, whatever his name is, like hanging out in the Summer Lastwell. Divine Ruination Chaining Family has the Wind and Peril on there. Pretty cool there, but 5.2 times multiplier, it's all right. Obliterating Mirror of Equity, guys. Okay, so this is Obliterating Mirror of Equity. I think the damage bonus went up a little bit on this. This is the Absolute Tranquility Chaining Family that we've been talking about all the time. It's going to be called Absolute Mirror of Equity in Global, and that's because, well, Mirror of Equity in Global was Tranquility in JP. So this is Absolute Mirror of Equity. It's going to be a 4.5 times multiplier, ignore 50% defense, so it's a 9 times multiplier chaining skill. This is going to be one of the second most popular chaining families in the game eventually one day. I think like this unit, Pyroglacial Lastwell, and then like his Summertime Lastwell unit or something like that. There's been a couple global exclusive units who've had some Absolute Mirror of Equity chaining families, but there's going to be much more later on down the road. So very strong chaining family, 9.0 multiplier as well. Perfect Selflessness. 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Negate 2 physical damage taken for 2 turns to the caster, so a little bit of Mirage. Some self HP and MP heal. 200% attack buff. Enables skill for 3 turns to the caster. Absolute Mirror of Equity. All right, so we have Obliterating Mirror of Equity. He also can unlock Absolute Mirror of Equity. And the chaining family is known as Absolute Mirror of Equity, but it's the unlock skill, but who knows? So it's going to be a stronger version of Obliterating Mirror of Equity. Just keep that in mind. Ardent Fighting Spirit, TMR here. Increase your attack equipment by 40% when dual wielding, so 40% true dual wield. Give you 2 limit burst gauge crystals per turn. Increase Esper bonus equip stats by 40%, so if you have his TMR or Super TMR, it's going to be 50%, and then upgrade your limit burst. Tranquil Detachment increases modifiers to some of his older skills. They're not nearly as prevalent because of the new skills, but 0.7 mod to Exercising Storm, 2.75 to Blade Flash Final, and 4.25 to Crimson Era and Fatal Bloom. We'll go over Crimson Era, Fatal Bloom, and Blade Flash Final because I think Blade Flash Final has ignore 50% defense, and those are some unlocked skills there. MP plus 20%, and Blade Wielder, increased attack by 40% will equip with a sword, a great sword, or katana. These do stack, so you throw a great sword on them, throw a katana on them, or throw a sword and a katana on them, and you'll be good to go there. Increase ice and wind resistance by 15% as well, but this is basically an 80% attack passive. Super awesome there. So Fatal Bloom was ice physical damage 6.75 times modifier with ice and peril. Crimson Arrow is a 6.75 times multiplier with 50% fire and peril. They both got a 4.25 modifier increase, which means that they are now 11 times multiplier. So you can chain finish with these skills after you unlock them. Super awesome there. And then Blade Flash Final was a 5.25 multiplier with ignore 50% defense. It got a 2.75 mod increase. So it goes from 5.25 to 678 with ignore 50% defense. So it's going to be a 16 times multiplier chain finishing skill. So you can unlock that and then start chain finishing while dual wielding 2 16 times modifiers. So that's super awesome there. And then Absolute Mirror of Equity is the unlocked version of Banishing Mirror of Equity. What was it called? Obliterating Mirror of Equity, guys. Okay, too many Mirror of Equities. Physical damage 6.5 times multiplier with a north 50% defense. So this would be a 13 times modifier chaining skill. 13 times mod chaining skill. So he can chain finish now. He's gonna be pretty good that way. His spammable chain skill, Obliterating Mirror of Equity, 9 times multiplier. That's still really strong. then you can go ahead and use Perfect Selflessness, get that HP heal and stuff, and then just go in there and use Absolute Mirror of Equity and start chaining again. So that's pretty awesome there. And his Limit Burst now, Unstoppable Wave upgraded. You're going to want to upgrade it because this is the other way to get Absolute Mirror of Equity. Physical damage 12 times multiplier with ignore 50% defense, so 24 times mod. Enables skills for 6 turns to the caster. Blade, Flash, Final, Crimson Air, Fatal Bloom. With 100% Fire and Ice Imperil. And gives you Absolute Mirror of Equity for 3 turns. So this makes CG Last Will very flexible, right? You can use them as a chainer with Obliterated Mirror of Equity, a chainer with Absolute Mirror of Equity, or you can go the full chain finishing route with Blade, Flash, Final, Crimson Air, Fatal Bloom, because they are unlocked for 6 turns after you go ahead and use your Limit Burst. Remember, those are up to 16 times modifiers. Super good there. How good is he in the grand scheme of things? He's fine. True Dual Wield's okay. In the meta, you can definitely beat all the content with it. If Pyroglacial Last was the unit you like to use, definitely go for it. Definitely use them, level them up, have fun the whole time with them. Now, the next unit we're going to be taking a look at is Gladiolus here. He's going to be a very comparable physical tank for those of you out there who are looking for one. Shield of the Chosen King has Super CMR, 50% HP and 30% defense. This is a materia, so it's very nice there. Increase your defense by 100% when your HP drops below 80%, so your tank's going to almost always have out at least a minimum of a 100% defense buff. So that's pretty awesome there. Moving on into his 7-star kit, we're going to be taking a look at these skills. He's got Blink, mitigate damage taken by 55% for 1 turn to the caster, increase attack and defense by 150% for 3 turns to the caster, increase limit burst gauge by 4 to 6 to the caster. This skill is okay. I really do not like it that much because the mitigate damage taken by 55%, that does not stack with other buffs like Spread Shield or Impregnable Stance that mitigate damage taken by 30%. And since it's only a 1-turn buff, you'd probably be better off just swiping down and guarding. You get more damage mitigation that way. So you won't be using Blink for damage mitigation. You'll be using it for the limit burst gauge by 4 to 6, or maybe your character gets dispelled and he needs an attack and defense buff up again. And you go ahead and do that. Now, Maelstrom is a 4-turn cooldown available on turn 4. Physical damage 10 times multiplier to all enemies. Mitigate damage taken by 50% for 1 turn to the caster. And then enables a skill called Duel Master for 2 turns to the caster. He's out there summoning Exodia. He's doing some cool things. Wait, is Duel Master a different game? Or is is that what? Did I just make a bad reference? Man, fire me. Just fire me. Razor Edge, physical damage 9.0 multiplier with defense scaling to 1 enemy, so he can go in there and finish them chains. Defense scaling, physical damage, go for it. Super awesome. And this should also get the 2-handed damage variance bonus if you are going for some sort of just not a true double hand build, but just like put a 2-handed greatsword on him and just put a bunch of defense on him. You go in there and chain finish Victor style minus the fixed dice. All right, so that's pretty decent there. Survival, all this fun stuff. Some passives here. The final trial with his TMR equipped. Increase your defense by 40% and HP and spirit by 20%. Chance to counter physical attacks or magical attacks with first aid and upgrade your limit burst. And then a very solid 20% HP passive follows that. A new Blade Master. Pretty flavorful. Increase your attack, defense, and spirit by 20%. Increases your attack by 200% if you're equipped with Genji Blade. All right. What is Genji Blade, you ask? I will tell you. Genji Blade is the weapon from Attack on Gilgamesh, the trial, the old one, 107 attack. Very flavorful. Those of you who played episode Gladiolus will get the reference. And I think it's friggin' hilarious that this guy gets a passive bonus from an old trial weapon. So hold on to all your trial weapons. We don't know if we'll ever get any more units like this. We don't, as far as I know, but you never know. You never know. It's like, oh, this unit, if you have force armor on, plus 1 million defense. You never know. You know, how faithful are you to your trial reward items? They're testing you. Increase your modifier by 2.0 to Dawn Hammer and Tempest. Increase your limit burst gauge by 50% as well. The first aid, the counter, heals him by 25% HP and MP, so that's pretty strong there. And then Duel Master, physical damage 18 times modifier with increased accuracy 50% to 1 enemy. So look out, Arena. You're going to go in there, you're going to proc the Duel Master and just, you'll kill one person. You'll hit him for 999 one time. All right, 7 times chain hit. I don't think it's a Divine Ruination chaining family, but you can get in there and do some damage with it. You probably won't use it that much though, to be honest with you. Now, Impulse upgraded. Physical damage 6.2 times modifier with North defense 50% to all enemies. Increase your chance by being targeted by 100% as well. Mitigate damage taken by 50% for 1 turn and decrease defense by 60% for 3 turns to all enemies. So really, as far as tanking goes, his 7-star upgrade didn't really give him more tanking capabilities, honestly. It just raised his stats up. So he already had a lot of HP defense and spirit. He's going to get some more HP defense and spirit. That's totally fine. Didn't really need anything more outside of that. 30% defense there, 40% defense there, 20% HP and spirit there, another 20% HP defense and spirit plus 20% there as well. His kit, he already had AoE cover in Royal Guard. He has this intercept thing as well, chance to protect all allies from physical damage. Royal Guard, chance to protect one ally from physical and magical damage 100% with damage mitigation. So if you're looking for a solid beefy tank, you don't have like a Wilhelm or something, you don't have any other 7-star AoE cover tank, no mercenary rams or nothing like that, and you have 2 gladiolus, you can go ahead and upgrade them and just put a bunch of defense and spirit on them and an HP, and you should be good to go. Now, speaking of Final Fantasy 15, Noctis is here, and he got a couple of cool global exclusive changes. I don't think he's going to be overpowered, but I think he's going to be pretty cool. So first off, his Super T-Mar got upgraded just a little bit. Just enough to make it worth getting if you have 4 Noctises laying around, in my opinion. Hexatheon's Revelation. Increase HP, attack, MP, defense, magic, and spirit by 20%. Increase fire, ice, lightning, water, wind, and earth resistance by 20%. And increase your limit burst gauge by 2 crystals per turn. So before it was 15% resistances and no limit burst gauge failure rate. Now it's 20% and 2 limit burst gauge failure rate. So this is a very good all-around materia now. It's not broken, but if you have it available to you, you can go ahead and get this. You'll throw it on a support, you'll throw it on a healer, you throw it on a AoE magic cover tank. In the future, when some trials come out where like you can't cover a certain elemental attack, you put this on your damage dealer, make them some more survivable, get that elemental resistance on them, get some HP on them, get some defense and spirit, but still have attack as well, and some limit burst crystals per turn. So it's a very good all-around materia. Definitely worth picking up if you have 4 Noctises laying around for some reason. Now let's get into a 7-star kit. Whoo, Quintcast 3. Let's talk. Hold on, Quintcast 3. Hold on, let me get in here. Let me get my spectacles on. All right, Quintcast 3, 25% chance to use Quintcast 3, Fire and Ice, Hybrid Damage, 6-point multiplier to all enemies, with 2 random status effects, with Stop, and enables Point Blank Warp Strike for 2 turns. All right, 25% chance to use Quintcast 3 again, but this one is Fire, Ice, and Lightning Hybrid Damage with a slightly higher multiplier, 2 random status elements, and Stop, with a 45% Magic and Spirit Break. The next version of Quintcast 3, Fire, Ice, Lightning, Hybrid Damage, 9.0 multiplier, inflict 2 random status effects, 20% to all enemies, inflict Stop with a 60% Magic and Spirit Break, and also enables Point Blank Warp Strike. The last version of Quintcast 3, if you get real lucky, Quintcast 3, Fire, Ice, and Lightning, Hybrid Damage, 10.5 times multiplier to all enemies, 4 random status effects, 50% chance to Stop, with a 45% Magic and Spirit bonus. So all in all, Quintcast 3, not my favorite ability. It's a wall of text, it's random. You know how I feel about random abilities. Status elements and Stop, that's fine in the arena. This will be fun in the arena. You'll trash on some low-level players who aren't immune to Stop or status elements. Get a ball in there, just dual wield, just double cast Quintcast 3. Just get in there and do all the status elements on them while stopping them and getting Point Blank Warp Strike. Pretty decent there, but the real change that I like a lot here is Faithful Heir. 6-turn cooldown available on turn 1. In JP, this was available on like turn 4. Or something. You had to wait forever to use this. But this here in Global is available on turn 1 and actually makes Noctis pretty relevant if you want to use him. Increase your attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 150% for 4 turns to the caster. Increase your limit burst gauge by 36, just full. Heal HP and MP over time, so you get a very high HP and MP refresh over 4 turns. And then enables skills for 4 turns. Point Blank Warp Strike and Armiger Wakes. All right, Armiger Wakes is pretty cool, pretty decent, allows him to do some nice things. So we'll get to that. It's an unlock skill at the end. The Chosen King, if you have his TMR equipped, is going to give him 50% physical and magical killer against demons, humans, fairies, and undeads, and gives you 20% of your Esper bonus stats. He's got Evil Magic plus 40% randomly on there. He's like kind of a summoner too now. He does it all. Power of Kings, HP plus 30%. Increase your limit burst damage by 20%. It's pretty decent, but you probably won't be using your limit burst that much if you're doing damage with Noctis now. We'll get to that in a minute. Magic plus 20%. Sword of the Father. Increases your attack and magic by 30% if you're using a sword. Gives you a 1.0 modifier, increase to Point Blank, Warp Strike, and Warp Strike. And gives you 30% true dual wield. The most important skill here, though, is Armiger Wakes. It's a weird skill. Let's explain it. It's pretty strong, actually. First and foremost, it's a 6-hit skill. It's also a barrage-style skill. Now, the downside is that the chain will more than likely will break between 2 Noctises. If you're using 2 Noctises to just chain Armiger Wakes, every time you barrage, the chain will break. So the average chain mod is going to be like 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, which isn't actually that much lower than most things. Most things are like 3.4. So it's a little bit lower there. But what it does do is it works with dual wield, or you can use fixed dice, true double hand, Noctis. And the way it works is it'll cast Armiger Wakes 3 to 8 times. Each cast of Armiger Wakes is a 5.5 times multiplier before chaining mods, right? The chain mod for each broken chain is going to be like a 2.5, somewhere around there. So each time you actually cast an Armiger Wake, each Noctis is going to do like a 12.0 hit before, you know, elemental imperils and stuff like that and killers. And it can go all the way up to 8 times, which is pretty cool. And it works with dual wield. So on average, you're going to get 4.5 to 5 hits in. Each of those hits a 5.5 mod per Noctis. As you can see here, you average a 30.25 chaining modifier to one enemy. This does cost 18 limit burst gauge crystals, but remember on turn 1 you get that 150% attack defense magic and spirit buff, and it gives you 36 crystals. Okay. And since Armiger Wakes, even though it makes broken chains, is still going to chain, you're going to get limit burst gauge crystals back, and you can use this for 4 turns in a row, or 3 turns in a row, because it unlocks for 4 turns. So you can go cooldown skill on 2 Noctises, Armiger Wakes turn 2, Armiger Wakes turn 3, Armiger Wakes turn 4, limit burst if you want. And that probably will have most things at this point in the game right now dead for you. So if you want to use Noctis, that's going to be fun. It's going to be really cool to try to get super lucky. If you want the maximum RNG build in the game, guys, this is what you do. You go 2 Noctises, you go fixed dice, okay, and then you go Armiger Wakes, and then you just try. You try really hard to roll 8 Armiger Wakes on both Noctises with max roll fixed dice on every hit, because it's a different skill technically on each of the barrage skills, so it re-rolls your fixed dice damage. You gotta get max roll on fixed dice 8 times, Armiger Wakes. Let's go, both characters. How much damage can you do? Show me your clips, hit me up. I want to see it. Now, Armiger doesn't really get changed that much as far as a limit burst at 7-star. The multiplier goes up to a 16.8 from a 14.8, so it barely goes up at all. The attack defense, magic, and spirit bonus goes to 134 instead of 124. The mitigate damage stays the same at 30%, and it still only unlocks point blank orb strike for the next turn. So not that big of a deal. Bard Noctis it's much harder to do in the 7-star era due to the fact that it costs 6 more crystals than before, and the buff's only 10% higher. So maybe not as worth as before, but Noctis's main role, in my opinion now, is you can still do the jack of all trades like provoke tank thing or Ina Cole dodge tank thing, but Faithful Heir into Armiger Wakes is going to be the 1-2 punch to end a lot of fights for you guys who are still, you know, looking for, maybe Noctis is your first 7-star, looking for a reason to use him, looking for a strong damage dealer, and he can do it for you there. Now, Elfrida, I like Elfrida. I like Elfrida in the arena. So her super team is the True Seeker. HP defense and spirit 30%, increases equipment attack by 50% when single wielding any weapon, increase your accuracy by 20% as well, or 25% as well. As far as the general use materia or super TMR, I actually don't like this one that much because it does have the 50% true double hand, but it has no other offensive stats on it. It's got HP defense and spirit. That's helpful, but not the biggest thing ever. Tomb Raider is probably better than this, and I know Tomb Raider is a time-limited trust ability, but even Tomb Raider being better than this, Tomb Raider is generally not that good either for the same reasons where it doesn't have attack, right? Like Nalu TMR is better than both of these because Nalu TMR is 50% true double hand, 25% attack. So the only person I would put Truth Seeker on, realistically, is probably like Demon Rain. If you have a Demon Rain, you have 4 Elfrida, probably get Truth Seeker, probably put it on Demon Rain. It's going to give him some tankiness. It's going to give him some true double hand as well. Outside of that, if you have 4 Elfrida, trust me, just throw them in the arena. You're going to have fun. You're going to have fun in there. All right, let's take a look at her kit here. Level 105, she gets Entrust. So if you are using her in actual fights, you can go ahead and she counters a lot, and she'll get a lot of limit burst gauge crystals. You can entrust them to someone on your party who has a very strong limit burst, whether it be like a Yaka or a damage dealer or what have you. Arctic Fortress increases your ice resistance by 100% for 3 turns to all allies. A little bit of support there. Empyrean Frost Arrows is a 20 hits AoE 6 times multiplier ice physical skill. This is one of the skills that sets her apart in the arena. It's pretty cool. A 20 hit AoE, it's kind of like a mini Aurora Ray thing. Hits just enough, 20 times multiplier. It's going to generate a bunch of LB crystals. Can spark chain it pretty easy probably. And the only downside in the arena is that it's ice, so it can get banned every once in a while. I know it's banned today, but it won't be banned tomorrow, so look out. Sub-Zero Casket, 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Mitigate damage taken by 50% for 3 turns to the caster. Decrease ice resistance by 100% for 3 turns to all enemies. And increases chance of being targeted by 100% for 3 turns to the caster as well. Now, you can't keep this up 100% of the time because it only lasts 3 turns and that's a 5-turn cooldown, but you can start a fight off with this and then, you know, mitigate some damage with a bard or something, or a buffer, not necessarily a bard like Nicole or Eurytia or Folka in the future, and then just reprovoke there. It also has some nice 100% ice imperil, so if you're using Kurasame, maybe you want to counter tank Alfreda, and Alfreda can imperil for your Kurasame instead of Kurasame taking turns off to imperil for himself. Spirited Ascent, 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Recover 10,000 HP to all allies. Increase defense and spirit by 130% for 3 turns to all allies as well. So you probably won't use this on turn 1. Turn 1 you're probably going to provoke if you're using her in an actual fight. But, you know, in the middle of the fight, you can get some HP healing, have your healer put up re-raise or something like that, have your buffer put up other things other than defense and spirit buffs. So a nice skill to have access to there. Now, in her abilities down here, her passives, we have first-rate weaponry. If you have her own TMR equipped, which is Martial Glove, increases her defense, HP, and spirit by 40%, gives her 50% more true double hand and 25% accuracy, and auto-cast first-rate weaponry at the start of the battle, and increases your counter chance by 100%. So the counter chance 100% is a global exclusive change, makes her even better in the arena because her counters don't have a maximum proc rate. Every time you get hit, you're going to counter. Demon Rain style. And her counters, her best counter, the one that's checked most often as the damage counter, is AoE. So Reverse Blade increases modifier to Ice Prism by 3.5 and Absolute Stillness by 2.7. Those are her counters. We'll get to those in a minute. Attack plus 20% and Sorrowful Mercenary increases defense and spirit by 50%. Increases your attack by 50% when equipped with a Greatsword and auto heal 1,800 HP per turn. So it's like a Pure White Blessing style regen. Falling Snow is one of her counters, increases or decreases ice resistance by 60% for 3 turns to one enemy. Absolute Stillness is physical damage 0.8 multiplier to all enemies, but this has been buffed up by 2.7, so it's a 3.5 times counter multiplier AoE. And then Ice Prism is physical damage 6.5 hit, critical damage to one enemy, so it automatically critical hits, which is another 50% damage bonus, and Ice Prism got a 3.5 modifier increase, so it's going to be a 10-point multiplier that auto critical hit, so it's a 15 times multiplier counter. Super cool there. And then first rate weaponry is a self-cast buff as the battle starts, so every time you're revived or every time it gets dispelled. Mitigate magic damage by 10% and mitigate physical damage by 10%. So that really helps her in general. It also makes her a beast and it makes her even tankier in the arena. Skating Heart, ice physical damage 7.0 multiplier with an order defense 50% to all enemies. As far as I can tell, I mean, Alfreda, if you don't have a provoke tank, go for it. If you want to have fun with a counter tank, go for it. If you want to have fun in the arena, go for it. She hits accuracy cap, so no one can dodge your attacks. You put a 2-handed Greatsword on her, you put Martial Glove on her, which you have because you're using Alfreda. She's very tanky. She's got decent HP, defense, and spirit. Her new buffs help a lot. Her limit burst is relatively cheap, so you'll counter a bunch and you get your limit burst up, and then you have 2 Alfredas ice skating hearts around your opponent, you know, just spark chaining, doing damage, doing fun things like that. So she's a lot of fun to use in the arena for you, not for your opponents. All right, guys. And then last but not least, Fryevia. Fryevia, guys. So we're here with Fryevia. Very scary character. Her super TMR is better than I thought it would be. I didn't think we'd get something this good. Attack plus 25, magic plus 25, floored hairpin, accessory. Wow, that's pretty shit. Oh wait, there's a second part. Fencer's Poise. Increases equipment attack and equipment magic by 50% when single wielding any weapon. So she gets 50% true double hand attack and 50% true double hand magic on this build. So I'm assuming that this is not only best in slot for normal Fryevia, if you get access to it, it'll be best in slot for Aurora Fryevia too, because we know Aurora Fryevia is going to have true double hand hybrid damage. So she's going to be very good. Maybe pick up some if you have them. If you have a bunch of Fryevia, you're floating around in a million Fryevias, go for it. If you're just shy a couple, maybe pull for another one on Monday, see if you get lucky in preparation for the future. Or in preparation for now, it's also very good on Kurasame. Now, 7-star skills here. We have Flower Assault, hybrid damage, 12 times multiplier to one enemy. The chain family is Octaslash. This lists her chain with Zorgobath, lists her chain with Barrel, which we'll go over tomorrow. Pretty cool there. It's non-elemental, so you know you can utilize maybe a boss is immune to ice damage. You have to take her TMR off of her, take her hair, or not her hairpin, take her Fryevia needle off of her, put on a different elemental weapon. This will allow you to chain, you know, thunder, light, dark, whatever you want on ice immune bosses. So that's pretty neat there. The hybrid damage 12.0 multiplier, that's the highest multiplier she has, tied with Frostflower Blitz for a chaining skill. So don't worry about having to find Oxlash partners. You can just go ahead and enhance Frostflower Blitz +2. That also becomes a 12 times multiplier. Frost Riposte, 3-turn cooldown available on turn 3. Ice hybrid damage 21 times multiplier to one enemy. Increase defense and spirit by 150% for 3 turns to the caster. Cool chain finishing skill here. It's a one-hit skill. All right, and guard, 7-turn cooldown available on turn 1. 200% attack and magic buff for 3 turns to the caster. Remove attack, defense, magic, and spirit breaks. Some MP refresh over time, and then enables a skill for 3 turns to the caster, which is Saber Mastery. So remember, guys, when you see something on the wiki like this, enable skill for 3 turns to the caster. One of those turns is the turn that you use the skill, but you can't use your character anymore because you already used a skill. So you're gonna get basically 2 turns, right? Because you get the buff the turn you activate and guard. Can't do anything. And then next turn and the turn after that. So you get 2 turns of triple cast. And then she has Saber Arts, which is a passive that gives her double cast offensive skills. So she's gonna have native double cast, unlockable true cast, or triple cast. Twin Saber style requires her TMR, enables dual wielding of one-handed weapons. So if you want to go a dual wield build, she now natively has dual wield build. You no longer need Genji Glove. Increases equipment, attack, and magic by 30% when dual wielding. So she gets 30% true dual wield, and increases her attack and magic by 30%. So if you're going for a double hand build, you don't really need to use her TMR because all you're losing out is attack and magic by 30%. But if you want to use your TMR, get that extra 30% attack and magic when doing a double hand build. If you're doing a dual wield build, definitely use her needle there. Glacial Mastery gives you attack and magic by 30% when equipped with an ice weapon, and increases your ice resistance by 30%, and gives you a 2 times multiplier increase to Frostflower Blitz. With this passive here, coupled with her enhancement to Frostflower Blitz, this is why Frostflower Blitz is a 12.0 multiplier. MP plus 20%. Saber Maven, increase your HP by 20%. Increases equipment, attack, and magic by 50% when single wielding any weapon. Increase your accuracy by 25% as well. Very, very nice passive there. Let's scroll on down here to her Limit Burst. Ice Prison, Ice Hybrid damage, 24 times multiplier, 24.8 times multiplier to all enemies. Inflict stop, 94% chance, look out arena, to all enemies. Enable skill for 2 turns to the caster, Saber Mastery. Remember, this counts the turn you unlock it, so it's really 1 cast. You Ice Prison, and then the next turn you can triple cast. All right. If you want to make the most out of Fryevia, you want to be able to like chain finish this, but most people aren't going to be able to. But if you do have the capabilities to chain with her normally, and then when your Fryvias go to Limit Burst, you can chain finish on them too. Maybe you have like a support and a tank who can like chain together. You can chain finish Ice Prison then and keep up the damage modifier increase with that nice 4.0 multiplier to be almost a 100.0 multiplier chain finish bonus there. Ooh, that's pretty strong. All right, guys, I know I'm gonna get railed on with this question, so I'm compare Kurasame to Fryevia. Okay, upside for Kurasame, he can use 2-handed weapons, which means that he gets 2-handed weapon damage variance on the physical attack portion of his hybrid skill. Most of his builds are very high attack with pretty low magic in comparison to Fryevia's. The other thing that Kurasame has as a plus is that his multipliers, his unlock skill, is like a 24 times multiplier. Super, super, super high. All right, super, super, super high. And then the amount of time he has to triple cast skills is a little bit more than Fryevia, right? Every time Kurasame limit bursts, he gets a triple cast for 2 turns. Fryevia gets a triple cast for 1 turn. Now the downsides for Kurasame is he doesn't have very much true double hand magic. He doesn't have very much stats for magic and attack. He usually has pretty low magic in comparison to his attack, so it kind of hurts his hybrid damage multiplier formula a little bit. The other thing that is a downside for Kurasame, and when it comes to team building, is that if you are using a 2-handed weapon, okay, it's going to be a 2-handed non-elemental weapon unless you're using like Bahamut's tier with some super weird stuff out there that you can do, but it's super weird. But for the most part, if you're going to go for ice damage with him, he's got to imbue himself with ice, okay, which is fine because it's part of his unlocked triple cast skill. But he has to, if he has to imperil for himself, the only way he can imperil is with his limit burst or with his skill that does the decreasing over time imperil. So it goes 100%, 75%, 50%. The problem with imperiling for yourself as Kurasame, if you don't have an external imperil, someone else to do it for you, is if you're imperiling, you're not doing anything else on that turn with him. You're doing 0 damage, nunzo damage, zilch, nada. So Fryevia has the benefit where she's going to have very high attack and very high magic at the same time. Like I said before, we were messing around some builds. She hit 2,700 attack, 2,000 something magic, all in one build. Most Kurasame builds you see with a buff up, you know, you can hit like 2,700 attack and then like 600, 700 magic, right? So Fryevia will have that benefit there. The other benefit Fryevia will have is that she's just going to imperil for herself with Frostfire Blitz over and over and over and over and over. Now, what she won't be able to do is she won't be able to have that super high 25 times multiplier chaining skill, right? She won't have the unlocked Kurasame, you know, twice as strong as Frostfire Blitz thing. But the other thing that Fryevia does have with her is that she has her own chain finishing skill that she can chain finish with, you know, every 3 turns. So she can go like Frostfire Blitz into Duelist Riposte and just get that nice 21 times multiplier chain finish bonus because it's a 1-hit skill and chain finish that you should be able to chain finish skill. It shouldn't be like a move and cast skill. Hopefully they were competent when designing the unit and you can just chain finish it. You should be able to. I haven't heard anyone say you're not able to yet. So TLDR, Kurasame versus Fryevia. If you have the ability to do an external imperil, true double hand, full on build with like an imbuer for Kurasame, build the whole team around him, he's gonna out damage Fryevia for the most part. Now, if it was just Fryevia and Kurasame, they'll be much more closer together, okay? Because Fryevia is going to have lower multipliers, but she's going to imperil right away, never have to take turns off, and she'll be able to chain finish herself. And while she has lower multipliers, her attack and magic are both going to be high, versus Kurasame is going to have high attack and like pretty low magic. So they're pretty comparable to each other. I'm pretty sure Fryevia can beat out Hyo pretty easy, but when it comes to Kurasame, I don't think she's quite there. But it's going to be based on you and your team comp and the gear that you have on your account, how good she'll be. She's going to be good, okay? But she might not be the best, and that's totally fine because this is like a 2.5-year-old unit, and she's like better than Hyo. Right, she's already. Sorry Fryevia's not the best thing in the game. She's only like the 2nd or 3rd best thing in the game, guys. Just 2 years old, though. She's still really, really friggin' strong. So take a look at that. We'll be streaming tonight. Hopefully you guys can come out and hang out. I'll be messing around in the arena with Elfrida. Maybe we'll be trying to get 7-star Fryevia out there. I do have 2 of them, luckily. And maybe next Thursday we'll try to go for STM or something crazy like that. Probably not, but you know, if you want to come hang out, twitch.tv/house tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you see the previous 7-star Awakening thing. And then tomorrow, if you want to see it, we're going to have the batch or the unit review for Beryl and Alephram. All right, those are some very interesting units, guys. So thanks for coming and hanging out. I know it's been a long time, a lot to talk about when new 7-stars come out. Take care, guys, and have fun out there. I'll see you in the next one.